Good morning, friends. I hope you are doing well. Feel free to grab yourself a cup of tea or coffee and a crochet project. We'll have a little chat. This one probably won't be too long because I don't have so much to show you this month. But yes, today I'm drinking a London Fog, which is some Earl Grey tea with a little bit of vanilla syrup, which Matt found from Coles, and some frothed milk. So some lovely frothed milk at the top. Yum. And my mug says, "Let's talk about it." In case you hadn't realised, I kind of like puns and cute little things. It's so good. Anyway, speaking of Matt, he's actually away for a few days at the moment, so I'll be on my own. Probably having a lot of crochet and knitting time, which is kind of nice, but you know, I'll definitely look forward to him coming back. I suppose we'll start with finished objects today, if you're all ready to go. Today, this is my first finished object. What? No, that's not a finished object. For a little while now, I've been wanting to do a crochet tutorial on YouTube for these hexagons. Last year, I made a green version of this blanket. I'll insert a little picture to show you for some friends who had a baby. He just turned 1 actually, and we went to his baptism last weekend, and where Matt and I became we are his godparents, and so we promised to help raise him to know and love the Lord, which is excellent, and we will try to do our best to do that. So if you didn't know, that's what godparents do at a baptism. So anyway, the hexagon blanket. Yes, I designed it originally for him. I mean, I'm not saying it's never been done before in this particular method, but it's the way I decided to do it. And so I made a little video tutorial. Well, I say little, it's over an hour long. But yeah, feel free to have a look at it and see how I made my hexagons on that video, which I will link in the card at the end of this one, like as in on the end screen. So if you watch all the way to the end of the video, it should pop up. Maybe unless you're on the TV or something. Yeah, I made that video, and in the link in the description to that, there's lots of links to all the different parts. So if you just want to know how I joined them, you can click to that. Or if you want to watch the whole thing, feel free to do that, because, yep. If I go too slow in it or too fast and you're on a computer, you can actually click that little cog on YouTube in the window and make it faster or slower, which is fun. Sometimes I like to watch videos at 1.5 times speed if the person talks too slow. Especially if I don't have a lot of time. If I have plenty of time, I just watch the whole thing, because why not? And I enjoy it. Anyway, so yeah, I've done a couple of videos recently, which is funny. I did one of a time lapse where I did this one, which is not particularly exciting, but you know, if you want to watch me crochet at 8 times speed, go for it. And then this one is the one that I worked on for the tutorial. I did this hexagon, which is the way I normally do my hexagons, or the half hexagons, and then I was like, oh yeah, and I'll show you guys how to do one that looks the same as this, so all the front rows are facing up. And then I got halfway through it and I'm like, how can I be bothered? You guys, I kind of showed how to do it, but not all the way, only the first 2 rounds, so hopefully that makes sense. Also, I'm not big on, like, I try not to apologize for stuff that I don't need to apologize for, like, you know, oh sorry I didn't upload on the right day, or I don't know, anyway, but I will apologize for the terrible framing and the background noise in some of the shots on that tutorial video. Hopefully, and I'm pretty sure it's still helpful, and you can still see what I'm doing and hear what I'm saying. It just could be a little bit better quality, I'm aware. Anyway, go check it out if you want to make a hexagon blanket. Obviously I haven't made a full one here, but I might eventually turn this into a full blanket, but it's not on my current list of things to do. So the idea is kind of like, eventually these would join up and it would go from like brights, pastels, greens, some darker blues and purples, something like that. Anyway, and I don't have any other finished objects, I don't think. I did finish that knitted cowl I was doing the last episode? I don't call these episodes. I don't know. The last update. And yeah, I gifted that to my friend. She's actually the same one who had the baby. I don't have many friends. No, I'm kidding. yeah, I did finish that in time, and I gifted that to her. I think she really liked it. And yes, I'll show you. I've been working on a few things recently. So this is the Bloodline Sweater. It's actually, don't know if I mentioned last time, but I really like the way Deanne has designed it so that it's the back of the stitches that are the outside of the jumper. And I really like the fabric that it creates. So this is my Bloodline Sweater. As you can see, I finished the hem at the bottom, and I've started this sleeve. So it's exciting. So this is the back of the hem. I'm pretty sure I went around the back first. I ended up actually doing the hem, I think, in the opposite direction to what Deanne has in her instructions, just because I didn't like the way it was looking on mine in this join between the main part and the hem. It just looked a bit not neat enough for how much of a perfectionist I wanted to be at that particular time. And so I actually went into the opposite direction. But anyway, the join at the end, I figured out how to make that look not obvious. It's a bit different, but anyway. So this is the back of the hem, so this will be the back. And there's not much pooling happening there, which is nice. It's a lovely pastel bit, kind of like what I was aiming for. Because like I was saying last time, the neck was a bit lighter, and then so I was like, maybe I'll try to make all the hems lighter. And then I realised, so I didn't alternate the skeins for the hem because I just kind of figured that'd be too fiddly with such short rows, but also taller rows because you're working back and forth. I don't know. Hopefully you understand what I mean. But I just didn't think it was going to work very well. So then this is what the front looks like. That zigzag's a bit funny looking. I'm not sure. Oh well, I mean, I don't mind it. It's fine. But I'm interested in as why it's way less obvious there than there. Like obviously that's purple is kind of the main colour there, and a lot of the other colours are much lighter. But there, I suppose maybe the purple's not as dark. Anyway, that's interesting. Yes. And so I've done a few rows on the sleeve. I'm alternating skeins again there because I was just, yeah, it wasn't gonna work. I was just getting some, I mean, you can even still see it, but like, so obviously one of the skeins I'm getting pink here and purple here, so that's the same skein. Pink here and the purple here is the same skein, and so they just sit on top of each other. And then the second skein is the purple here and the blue here. And yeah, same on that side, more or less. I like it. It's cool. But yeah, obviously I just had big patches of colour all the way down my arm if I wasn't alternating skeins. So that pretty much is just, if you don't know, in crochet alternating skeins, you just work, instead of working in one spiral like you do in crochet a lot of the time, you know, for this jumper and for amigurumi, I will always work in a spiral. I don't like the joined rounds. But so instead of just working a single spiral, it's kind of two spirals stacked on top of each other. I guess almost like a compressed double helix, if you know what DNA looks like. Kind of like that. Anyway, that's my Bloodline Sweater. I think I'm going to have yarn left over, considering I have this, and then I have these two that I'm using for the sleeve. And I have this one as well. So I'm not worried about running out of yarn, and I'm going to have some left over to do other stuff with. And like I was showing you last time, I had figured out how to rewind them. Rewind, it sounds like a VCR. Rewind them into, like, you know, those cute little twisted hank skein things, whatever they're called. I don't know. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Is that weird? Anyway. And then last time I was also talking about joining in the Skimming Stones cowl, and I showed you the mini skeins I decided to use, and they're from Beck at Handmade Beck, or Saltwater Yarns, and she sent me, well, I ordered a 100-gram skein from her in a lovely kind of silvery grey colour, and she sent that, and along with some Earl Grey tea, and of course, so I have this project in this bag from Saltwater Yarns from either when she sent me the minis last year or when I ordered some other yarn I've ordered from her. She doesn't seem to do these bags anymore. So I have 2 of these actually, which I really like. They're just like, they're not a fancy project bag, but it's a good size for a lot of things. I really like it. So, first off, I'll show you. Oh, it's all wrapped up. I wrapped up the balls inside the shawl. So the Skimming Stones Mystery Cow is a shawl project, a mystery cow project ran by the Crochet Project. On Instagram they are the Crochet Proj, like just Proj, I think. And yeah, like I was saying before, they've done heaps of shawl designs before. And so it's a mystery cow in that you don't know what the final shawl will look like, and each week a new part of the pattern or a new clue is released. I kind of like that they're called clues. It's kind of fun. I suppose that's the mystery part. I'm missing a little skein. Where did it go? Anyway, a new clue is released, and so this past Wednesday, so today is the 8th of July, this past Wednesday they released clue number 3, and I pretty much finished clues 2 and 3 on the Thursday and Friday, I think. Maybe I finished on the Saturday, 3rd clue. Okay. First I'll show you my gorgeous grey that Beck sent me. So I messaged her and I was like, I'm after kind of a tonal sort of grey, a light grey. She has one called Whale Tail, a colourway, which is really lovely. Kind of like this, but much darker. And so she just kind of made it similar, but less dark. So that's it, there. Anyway, so there's a few patches where it's a little bit darker than the rest. And I think that's really nice. It kind of does match with, oh, I found the 4th one. It kind of does match with the minis. I nearly dropped one in my tea. Said, well, the green one rolled across the coffee table onto the floor, but you know, you get the idea. So, like I said, I've done clues 1 to 3 now. So once I clear this up, it's not as nice if you want it all in one place, but it's too fiddly to try to make it fancy. So, I mean, if you've seen my Instagram, this won't be a surprise, but this was kind of clue 1 up to my finger here. And it's interesting because they have a gauge swatch that you make up at the beginning, and it's alternating rows of the US. It's a UK pattern. It's alternating rows of UK trebles and doubles. So that's US doubles and singles. So confusing. And a lot of people, myself included, were struggling to get that to be tall enough. It was 6 repeats, so 12 rows to 10 centimeters or 4 inches. So especially for this first bit, I was kind of trying to keep my stitches quite tall, and they do match the gauge pretty well across here. So yeah, you can see the big purple stripe with a little blue top, and then an orangey apricot-y, whatever colour that is. I thought it was pink before I wound them into balls, but anyway, with a little green top, and then the blue with the purple top, and the green with the orange top. Maybe salmon. I think it's salmon. Anyway, and there's this gorgeous, like, spine up the middle. I really love front post trebles, or just front post stitches. I first started doing them, you would have seen last year maybe, if you're watching, maybe like October, November, possibly December, when I did the market, and I created a couple of the Carrie's Ray of Hope? I think it's Carrie's Ray of Hope. The big mandala hoop that's attached to a circle in lots of pastel colours. Yeah, so I learned how to do front post and back post stitches with that, and then I made a beanie in crochet cables that had front post and back post stitches, and yeah, I really like it. It just makes it really interesting, something a bit different, and yeah, creates a bit of interest there. Yeah, so that was clue 1. So it was, I guess, 2.5 weeks ago. And then this is clue 2, and it's still expanding at the same rate. I mean, it's hard to tell because the ripples kind of give it a bit of a funny shape. Once I weave in the ends and block it, I'm sure that'll kind of block out. And so that's clues 1 and 2 there. And then clue 3 is this section from this set of ripples here. So you can see the bottom, well, where I've got the bottom at the moment, keeps expanding in the same manner. At the top, this other side is kind of shrinking. So for a lot of this section, there's just the same number of stitches all the way across. At least I think there is. There's meant to be. Hopefully in mine there is. So it also means the spine. That spine isn't in the center anymore. Anyway, it's very interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing how clues 4 and 5 turn out. I was getting a little bit nervous because I have about like 30 grams of this left after clue 3. But I posted in the Facebook group and it sounds like it should be okay. And I think it should be okay because I'm crocheting to the right gauge. I mean, up here when I was getting a bit nervous, my stitch is a bit shorter, which is kind of funny, but that's just how it goes. If you've been watching for any amount of time, you'll know probably that I'm terrible at keeping consistent tension. But anyway, I really like this, and I'm sure it'll block out really lovely. And yeah, it'll really show those stitches, especially these ripples. I think I'm really looking forward to seeing how they look once all it's finished and what shape this other end ends up coming. So I think, I don't know, it's interesting. Yes, I saw a knitted shawl actually that was quite similar so far. It has that long section where it's kind of going from narrower to a bit wider, and it has that thing up the middle and some straight rows and some ripply rows, and yeah, and then it kind of does that sort of thing where one side starts shrinking and then eventually this spine hits the edge. It's not quite in the same way as this, but it's similar. And you know, so of course I was like, I should totally knit that, but I have enough things to make and enough things to knit as well at the moment. Anyway, so that's my Skimming Stones mystery card. I suppose it'll probably go something like that. Where's that peak? Yeah, there's the peak. It's kind of the peak. Nice, nice. I probably won't edit this video very much because I spent a while editing the Hexagon tutorial and I've kind of had enough of staring at a computer screen. So yeah, hopefully that's alright. So I'll pop that away in my little bag. I'll have to pick up that other little mini later. I can see the tail end, but of course if I pull the tail end, it's just going to unwind the ball, so that won't be any help. So yeah, that's 200 grams of yarn effectively that goes into this bag, and I think that's a pretty good size for that, 200 grams. And my hook's in there too. Sometimes the scissors are in there, but I've lost one of my pairs of scissors, and so the other pair of scissors like just gets moved from project to project all the time. Yeah, I think I only have one more work in progress that I've actually been working on, which is on Instagram. I made up a little swatch. This was the yarn from Tandy that I bought at Canberra Wool Festival, or a celebration of wool. So I made a little swatch, and I really enjoyed the process of making this swatch, because last weekend I was kind of struggling to motivate myself to do anything, for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it just happens. I've actually been doing like pretty well this year with motivation and that sort of stuff, whereas previous years it sometimes I'll find it difficult for most of autumn and into winter. So it was good. Last weekend was unusual for me this year. So there's my swatch. It's a DK weight yarn. I did this swatch on a 4mm needle, which is what the pattern recommends, and it was too big. It was way too big. But that's fine. I really enjoyed the process of making this. As you can see, I've got a few ends just to make sure that if I worked all the skeins next to each other, they looked the same. So I don't have to alternate skeins for this one, because it's a very consistent. It's a very consistent colour across all the skeins. Like, you can't see where one finishes and one ends, except for these ends. I also did try a invisible join or magic knot or whatever it's called, and it kind of works, except that it does kind of mess with your knitting, so I'm just gonna not do that. And it's interesting because after I got this one and the swatch was too big, I did it on the 3.5mm needles, went down a size, and I also did that one in the round, and it worked out much better once I was doing it in the round. It was also much neater. I can't show you because I frogged that one. I undid it. Whereas this one, you can kind of see the stripes across, because I think my, possibly my pearl rows are much looser than my knit rows. I'm not really sure. Maybe once I blocked it, it would even out, but... And yeah, the swatch was meant to be a blocked measure. But when this was so far out, obviously, it was way too big, and I figured blocking it wasn't going to fix that. Blocking might fix it if it's too small. I think, I could be wrong about blocking not fixing if it's too big. I don't think it's going to shrink it. I mean, you don't really want it to shrink. I don't know. I'm going to stop talking. Anyway, so I'll show you the project that's in this bag, and then I'll show you the bag, because I'm really excited about this bag as well. And actually, I'll get onto that. So, oh my goodness, I am so excited about this. I cast this on Friday night, and then I started the short rows, which I thought I had figured out, but then it was a mess, and turns out I was doing it wrong. I looked up online, and then eventually I figured it out, and I was so excited. I did short rows in knitting. Yes. Oh man. Like, it's not perfect. Here it is. This is the Netherton Pullover from Pom Pom Mag. And I think it was originally in an issue in 2012, but then they re-released it in 2017 or something for anniversary. I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm using my tiny little Hexagon stitch markers from 3 Mums Yarn. Very excited about that. Using my Chagu interchangeable cable needles. I've actually just put them on this bigger cable. Put it on a bigger cable so you guys can see this a bit better, because it was all kind of scrunched up before. But yeah, so there's my raglan increases. There's some... That one's not too bad at the first half, but on this side, they're a bit gappy in the section where I was doing the short rows and had to walk back and forth. And yeah, you can see again that part where when I'm doing the working back and forth rather than just knitting in circles, my rows are not even. So that's interesting. Kind of stripy. So yeah, there's some holy bits there. And I think that's just because of... What side is that? Yeah, okay, I think that was the side where I had to make one left and make one right in the purl, and I'm not sure I was doing that right. It's also was struggling because I knit continental, and then I taught myself how to do the Norwegian purl, which is in continental knitting, and so you still have the yarn at the back, and then you can purl without bringing the yarn to the front. But that means then doing other stuff is weird. I don't know. I was confusing myself trying to do those. Make one left and make one right. I thought this sun situation was going to be okay, but it's moved a lot more in the last 25 minutes than I expected it to. I mean, the earth has moved more in the last 25 minutes than we expected it to. Yeah, so there's my raglan increases, which I'm really quite happy with. Like, yeah, okay, they're not perfect, but excuse me, this is my first knitted jumper, so yep, pretty happy with it. And again, there's my short rows. They're a bit, I don't know if that's what they're meant to look like, but so I struggled a bit with the picking up the wrap along with the stitch, because you have to wrap and turn the short rows. This side is probably the better side, although it's a bit bulky there. I suppose that's always going to happen because you've got a wrap to deal with as well. I don't know. That's what the back looks like. So, you know, let me know if you've done those and that's wrong. But hey, it works. I mean, and then on this side, you can see there, I think I did something. I don't think I picked up the wrap properly there. So, you know, that's a bit holy, a bit gappy. And that's the back of that set of short rows. I kind of like how you can see where they all end. Anyway. And yeah, this is the holy side of my raglan increases. But once I've start working in circles, it's less obvious. So, yeah, I really like this colour. I think it's, yeah, the perfect, like, it's not bright enough. Like, it's a nice mustard, but it's not so crazy bright mustard that, like, I don't know, I feel like it'd be more wearable. That's a shadow. Anyway. So, so many things to talk about. So to do this, yeah, because I previously had ordered the right size needles to make this project a while ago, but then of course I had to go down a needle size. So the project recommends a 4mm needle for most of the stuff, and then the 3.5 for all the ribbing bits. And then of course I had to go down, so using the 3.5 for the body and etc, and a 3mm for the ribbing. But I didn't have a 3mm needle. Not in Xiaogu at least, I think. I think I have some of the dodgy, probably have some of the dodgy Spotlight ones. Still Spotlight, but your cable needles are terrible. Yes, so where did I put it? Somewhere. Oh, right there. So I was looking around online to see where I could find some 3mm cable needles, and I also was trying to figure out how I would knit the sleeves. I mean, I thought about doing that magic loop, which, if you know, you can use a long cable and then you just have like half the cable outside the sleeve. Like, that's a terrible explanation, but hopefully you know what I'm talking about. If not, because I imagine more of you are crocheters than knitters, feel free to look it up on YouTube, because I haven't actually done it before. I just kind of have seen it done. Anyway, so I've added some more to my Xiaogu set again, but I found that Skein Sisters has these little sets where they have 2 small needles and 2 small cables. And so I knew that you could get like a set of like small size needles in like 5 and 7 maybe centimeters length, and then cables to match, so that then you can have interchangeable cables to make a 9-inch circular, whereas normally you just have to buy the circular itself and they're not interchangeable. It's just a fixed circular. But yeah, Xiaogu recently came out with a set that's all different sizes from, I think, 3mm down to, I'm not sure, 2mm? No, it must be smaller than that, because I think there's 5 different sizes. Maybe it's 1.5. Anyway, I don't know, but I don't feel like I would use that enough to spend $120 on 10 pairs of needle tips and 3 cables. Like, that's not a bad price if you're going to use it, but I really do want to focus more on my crochet. And so I was like, well, I don't want to do that. Yeah, so Skein Sisters was stocking some where you can just get one size of the needles, so it's a little, well, I can just show you the little, I think there's 5 centimeter and it's a 3mm needle, and then this is the longer one, also in a 3mm needle. So I think this is the biggest size they have at the moment. Sorry, there's actually two of those. I think this is the biggest size they have at the moment in these tiny short sets. But it looks like from their website they're going to get 3.5mm up soon. And so these are good for, yeah, like knitting sleeves or socks. I mean, I probably wouldn't use 3mm needles for knitting socks, but I suppose it depends what way yarn you're using for your socks. But yeah, so I got some 3mm ones, and this is what I started the neckline in. So that worked out pretty well. So I have no idea how long this cable is. It's that long. This wasn't the cable that came with these needles. Those are away. I already had this cable. The only problem with these is they are not long enough. Well, I could put them in the pockets, in these pockets down here, but I feel like I'd lose them because they'd just like disappear into the bottom of the pocket, because yeah. So I actually am keeping these ones in the little case with all my little tiny bits and bobs at the moment. So they just go in there. Anyway. And while I was ordering stuff from Skimming Sisters, I also got some clips for fabrics, for sewing. So instead of using pins to pin your fabric together, you can use these clips, which I've had, I think someone recommended to me. I'm not sure if it was on my last video or if it was on Instagram. I'm sorry. But I've also seen them used online, and they look handy, like less fiddly than pinning things together. Honestly, London fogs are just the best. Okay, so I was going to show you guys the bag that I'm keeping that in at the moment. It has handles, so I've been using it also a bit as a handbag, just shoving my wallet and phone in there. Not my keys, because they'll tangle with yarn, and that's just, you don't want that. So I ordered this bag from, so it says Lola Star Creates, and it's from a lovely lady named Laura, who I met at Skimming Sisters back in April, I think, when I went for Deanne's workshop. And so I met Laura and a few other people there while we were waiting for Deanne's workshop. And yeah, she spins and dyes her own yarn, which is really cool. I've actually just finished watching a couple of her own videos on YouTube. So I think on YouTube she's Lola Star Creates. She's like Lola Star Creates. On Instagram she is Laura L. Nicholson, which I'll link both of those down below. So yes, she had an Etsy shop where she was selling some of her bags and some of her spinning and dyeing, but she's decided to close that down because of Etsy changing their fees and stuff. And so now she has more time to make things for herself and as gifts, which is great. So yeah, because she was closing down her Etsy shop, I was like, well, I want to support her and, you know, grab one of these bags. And isn't it lovely? I don't know whether to put it in the sunlight or not. So this lovely light grey and pink and mint fabric at the top, and then it's like got a box bottom. So if I've got a few things in there, it stands up pretty well. And then I can kind of like turn it into like a baskety buckety thing too. So for my projects. And I put two of my pins on the bottom. These are the ones I got from the Clever Cloves that I've showed you guys before. It's this little teapot, and this one says Yarn Lovers Club Lifetime Member. So yeah, that's what I've got in that bag, and I've just been using it heaps. Oh, and oh my goodness, I nearly forgot. She also included this lovely skein of yarn she spun. So I think this is one of the ones she made, possibly, I could be wrong, where she dyed some roll eggs, so they're like thick kind of tubes of fibre, and then she spins them into yarn. I mean, I could be wrong, but it's so pretty. There's like blue and then all these little purples and greens and reds and yellows. It's gorgeous. Yeah, isn't it cool what people can do? It's very talented. So she does a lot of knitting and spinning and a bit of crochet as well. you can check out her YouTube and her Instagram if you like. I do have a couple more things to share. I'll just keep chatting along, drinking my tea. Hope you are enjoying. I do have some yarn stash enhancements on the way. Of course, they're still in the post, so they don't count. The other day, an Australian dyer, Kylie of Fibre Lily, was doing a de-stash of some of her yarns, like stuff she'd had just hanging around, like, you know, when, like, skeins that kind of she wasn't going to repeat, unrepeatable skeins. What's it? Some of them were OOAK, which I can't remember what it stands for, but I think it's like to do with not being able to repeat the skeins, colours. One of a kind. There we go. One of a kind. Right, so I have those coming in the mail. I also don't think I'm missing anything. In the mail, I also got this book. This is Whimsical Stitches. Oh, the lighting is terrible. What am I doing? I should just put the blind down, but I don't feel like moving. Anyway, you can see Whimsical Stitches. It's got these adorable amigurumi. This is by Lauren Espy. And on Instagram, she is a Menagerie of Stitches. And she's always doing the thing that I'm like, why didn't I think of that? Which is kind of, I love her work. So when I first found her, it was through a whole bunch of people had sent me this one photo of these a set of crocheted test tubes and science beakers and like a Bunsen burner. Anyway, she did those and she gained quite a lot of followers from that. But also a lot of people pressuring her to sell them, which is really hard, like, to do. Like, it takes a lot of time to crochet those things, and there was a lot of people wanting them, so, you know, of course, that's too much effort. And then, yep, oh, it's just gorgeous. But this is the book I want to write. No, not really. Eventually I would like to put together maybe a book of pattern designs, but that's probably a long way off. And of course it would be different to this because I'll have my own designs. Some I do have a lot of scribbled notes or notes on my phone that I want to get written up properly and maybe tested, and we'll see where it goes from there. But yeah, I work full time, so it's a slow process. But yeah, this is a gorgeous book, like little flower. There's some macarons over here and an eggplant, whale, cow, there's a jellyfish. This lighting is so bizarre. I'm really sorry, but also not. So yeah, she has a few sections to it. There's some really helpful information at the front about like abbreviations and techniques and what you need, and like lots of helpful pictures of ways to do things. It's really detailed and it looks excellent. Like, if you want to get into amigurumi, this looks like a great way to do it. Her patterns are written for worsted weight yarn, I suppose because she's American, possibly, at least not Australian. Whereas my go-to for amigurumi is probably more a DK weight or an 8-ply, which is the same yarn, which is about a light worsted, I think. At least that's what I said in my tutorial the other day. Like, it's still the same. It just means that each amigurumi will come out a bit smaller. Whereas, because she will give measurements approximately 7 inches tall by 6.5 inches wide. Whereas if you use a smaller yarn and a smaller hook, it'll obviously come out smaller. Anyway, like, she's even got detailed instructions about, like, putting this cactus in a pot, which is excellent. Look at that one. Oh my gosh. Everything about this book is just beautiful. But I'm like, how much time do I have to be following other people's patterns when I want to be designing and writing my own? There's this next section at the aquarium. There's a whale, an octopus, some jellyfish, and turtles. Down on the farm. What is this shadow doing? Soz. So there's lots of different animals in the farm. A bunny, cow, there's a duck. That's still a duck. Eggs. I guess that's the farm. I would have put that in produce, but anyway. Pig. Did I say the pig? At the bakery. Oh my gosh. It's the best. Cakes and macarons and cupcakes and donuts and tea. Coffee. And, you know, a pumpkin pie. I don't know, we don't really have pumpkin pie in Australia. I've had pumpkin pie once because one of my friends grew up in America. She's American, and we did a Thanksgiving in, like, I don't know what time. It was the wrong time of year just because they had to postpone it because life gets in the way sometimes. But we had a Thanksgiving and they made pumpkin pie, so that was fun. Macarons, guys. I've actually made macarons. I mean, by I mean it was mostly my husband, but he's the one who's really good at the cooking stuff. Oh, there's also a cherry pie. I suppose it's the same pattern, but it has a cherry on top. And then at the market, this is the fruit and veg. I love, like, faces on things. Like, literally, I have this cushion which I thought was a taco to start with, but it's obviously a sandwich because the base is open. And then I have this other cushion. Originally we found one like this that was like this big. Matt didn't let me buy it and I was so sad, and then later we went back and we were gonna buy it and they're all sold out, but then eventually we found this little guy. Yeah, I'm a little bit unusually obsessed with stuffed toys for a 26-year-old, but you know, look at these ones with faces on them. Anyway, a bell pepper, we would call it a capsicum. I've recently discovered that capsicums aren't too bad. I always thought I didn't like them, but turns out I'd never cooked capsicum. I just had it in things. But we recently got HelloFresh. I would recommend not buying HelloFresh. There's way too much packaging. It was fun for a week. And now we have some recipes that are easy to make and we can make them again. But too much packaging. Like, I buy a 2-kilo bucket of Greek yogurt. They sent a teeny tiny little, like, 50-gram tub. I was like, what? Why? The same with mayo and sweet chili sauce. And I'm like, nope, these are things to buy in bulk, not in tiny little tubs. Anyway, this book, I haven't made anything from it yet, but it looks super great. Like, she's even got instructions on attaching limbs, and obviously the produce doesn't have any limbs, but the strawberry has leaves. I really love this blue-green strawberry. They look really cute. Anyway, the test tubes aren't in there, but I'm pretty sure you can get her pattern for the science set on the internet. So on Instagram, she is a Menagerie of Stitches. I think I've talked about this book for like 10 minutes now, but I haven't even made anything from it. I have so many patterns between books and Ravelry and Etsy that I've purchased that I've not made. Some of them like have been good, where I was thinking about for a while how I would write amigurumi patterns, and everyone kind of writes them a bit differently, which is very interesting. So I went through a lot of the patterns that I have and kind of compared the way they write them. Yeah, and just the different notation is interesting, and the different phrasing as well. Obviously there's US and UK stitches that are different. I would probably write my patterns with UK stitches just because that's kind of more what I'm used to now, and I think it makes more sense. Sorry if you learnt UK stitches and prefer those. Well, not really. It's just the way it is. Like, everyone has their own preference. I also got this other book. This was not on the internet. I just found this in a bookstore, and it looks handy, but I haven't had a good look at it. It's got some good tips. I'll show you the contents because that was kind of a good... Actually, my husband found this one and he's like, come on, look at this. It's great. So, oh, that's I can't read. Start simple, build on it, take it further. It's got like, yeah, basically beginners and then a bit intermediate and then some more difficult stuff. So it's even got patterns. So at the back, there's like feral arm warmers and a raglan jumper. Let's go have a look. Oh, where are the page? Oh, I was like, where are the page numbers? Because I just thought there was 3 stripes, but it turns out it was page 111. So yes, there's a pattern for that in there. That's fun. I still find knit patterns kind of daunting to look at and be able to just figure out what they mean. I have to think a lot more about it. Okay, and some color work stuff. Anyway, I mean, I'm not going to recommend that one because I haven't tried it out. Don't know enough about knitting to. But that's fun. This one looks excellent. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed my ramblings today. Yeah, feel free to hit subscribe if you want to see more videos. Leave a comment down below if you'd like to. Head over to my Instagram. Yeah, what else? Happy crafting.